All right, guys, welcome back to the Sell It SaaS podcast. This is episode 36. I've got an awesome guest who I'm excited to learn a lot more about. I've known Doug for probably about a year now through, first it was my girlfriend who is now my wife, Mary. She's a Pilates instructor at Doug's gym that he owns, Hive Fit Club here in Scottsdale. But also Doug and I connected through TikTok. He had been seeing some of my videos. I had been seeing some of his. We talk about faith and sales and business. And instantly when we met, I was like, I love this guy. I want to learn more about him. And through my wife being a Pilates instructor at the Hive, I got the opportunity to meet Doug and be around him more and more of his staff, and been to the company party for Christmas last year. It was a great time, and excited to learn more about you, Doug. And I'm excited for the audience to know who you are and exactly what your mindset is around faith, business, and ultimately where you came from and how you got here. So, Doug, it's great to have you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. And Will, I'm a fan of yours because I don't know if I saw you first in person with Mary or on TikTok, but I saw you popped up in my For You, of course, Scottsdale
Yeah.
business. And I'm like, who is this well-spoken, good-looking man that is just like spitting fire, spitting truth, not ashamed of his faith, but also just giving so much knowledge. And I could just see pure authenticity, and I'm attracted to that. I think that's a high currency of today is people who are authentic and real. You can tell, in the AI world we're living in.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, I love this dude. And anyway, I remember DMing you, and we got to know each other over the past year and a half. And man, what an honor to be here.
Yeah. No, thank you again for making the time and coming on the podcast. It's a big honor for me because I've seen your story, just how much, I got a chance to do research on you even prior to what I knew about before you, on Claude, internet, like ChatGPT, and from Church Boy to Millionaire, your story and, how you got to where you are now is inspiring. And my brother and I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and my brother was part of the Entrepreneurs Association of Illinois, where successful business owners would take high schoolers under their wing. And a couple of those very successful entrepreneurs ended up influencing my sales career, my brother's business. And so I've always had a big draw to successful entrepreneurs who want to give back and are approachable. Like, you could have a totally different ego and presence about you, but when I connected with you, I'm like, wow, like this guy's awesome. He's personable, he's real. And so, yeah, looking forward to learning more about your story today.
Thank you.
So, Doug, for those who don't know you, obviously I gave you an intro about owner of the Hive Fit Club,
Sure.
but what else would you want to intro yourself as? I'd love for the audience just to get a snapshot of who you are in your own words.
Well, for me, I think titles and things we do are pretty overrated. I like to be known as who I am, and I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a man with a lot of passion because it was 31 years old that I'd been married almost 9 years. And man, I just literally looked at myself in the mirror one day. I kind of was just going through a season, and I said, it's time I take radical responsibility for my life, to be the man of God that I know I was meant to be the husband, to be the father, and like either get in the game or I just felt like life was going to chew me up and I was going to be just settle into what the world calls normal. And I don't want to be normal. I'm like, I want to be, now that I know what weird is, I'm weird. I like being weird because I think weird people take radical responsibility of their life and they do things that aren't always popular or aren't always common. And one of the first things that I did, I was deeply in debt at the time, Will. I owned a small business in Beaverton, Oregon, just on the suburbs of Portland. And I was in the furniture business. And I had this little company that barely did $100,000 a month. And sometimes there was $5 or $6 grand a month left over at the end, but we were deep in debt. And I said, I can't control a lot right now. And of course, you got to understand, this is before podcast world. This is before Facebook. This is just, good old grit and grind business out. And I said, I can't control a lot, but I can control what I put in my mouth. And I always struggle with my weight, always a big dude. But I was always trying. I never stopped trying. And I said, I am going to get healthy. And thankfully, I had found out about a program, and I finally dropped my pride. And I think a lot of the first steps of radical responsibility is letting go of pride. And, so many people think pride is like the pride, the guys, I'm the best at X, Y, and Z. No, a lot of times pride is humility and
Mm,
letting go and just saying, I need help. I can't break this addiction on my own. I
mm,
need accountability, or I have a problem. Maybe it's not alcohol, maybe it's not drugs, but maybe it's food.
mm.
And I asked for
Wow.
help and I got accountability. I mean, you think about this. We get accountability in areas. If we want to grow in an area, we've got a financial advisor. We want to grow in our spiritual health. We got a pastor. We want to grow in our these different areas. We want to get fit. We hire a trainer. Well, how many people have ever actually hired a coach,
Mm.
a nutrition coach, somebody that's going to actually bust on you a little bit? And I needed somebody that I could relate to and walked a mile in my shoes. And that's the first thing I did, and I went on to lose 70 pounds. Now, I didn't
Wow.
know that that's what would get me into the health business. I didn't know that I'd be healthy. I just wanted to lose some weight. But
Yeah.
now for the last that was 17 years ago, and for the last 17 years, I've dedicated my life to not just doing my best to take my health to the next level, but sharing it with everybody
Mm.
else because I wanted to take my place of pain, my biggest place of like struggle, my
Yeah.
pain, and make it my place of reign. That I was gonna dedicate my life to helping other guys and girls just like me get healthy.
No wonder we get along very well. It's hard when you grow up overweight. I lost 100 pounds when I was 14. Um, whole life bullied, insecure. I don't know if you dealt with any of that, and it was tough
Mm,
to really figure out and how to fit in with the world.
yeah,
And you didn't really feel like you had much anyone really paid attention to you. That's the way I felt. And then I lost 100 pounds through joining the cross country team.
yeah,
And people saw me the next year. And this is probably like why you have such a heart for giving to people because you didn't grow up your whole life fit. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You had to actually go through that, make the change, and then now you can look at it and say, I want to help
mm,
you. And for me, it was similar where I came back to school and people asked what my name was the following year. I said, I've met you before. My name is Will. And they said, I thought you just transferred. I can't even recognize you. And that was like the mindset switch of,
mm,
wow, like when you take your health seriously and you actually make that change, the whole world perceives you differently and you start perceiving
yeah,
yourself as that, but it takes, I think, longer for yourself to actually recognize that
yeah,
change and really believe that you did that, because for a while I was kind of always that scared and like, oh, I don't know if I should do this because I'm still remembering the old ways. But it takes some time and refinement. But yeah, I guess, can you expand a little bit more on what you meant by like give back to others? What does that mean to you, and why did weight loss spark that?
well, I needed to, like, when my flesh when I dropped my flesh, I feel like my spirit just came alive. Like, people would be like, Doug, dude, like, there's like, you're glowing, your eyes are even smiling.
Wow.
And I was like, my spirit came alive when I actually like confronted my flesh. And I was like, I told Tia, I said, Tia, I want to dedicate the rest of my life to helping people. And I now know how important it is to, what is purpose. I think it's when you're good at it, um, you can make money at it and you love doing it.
Mm,
And you can relate to it, somehow. And I'm like, dude, I know what it's like to struggle. Now I know what it's like to win. I'm like, I have to figure out a way to make a living doing what I am most passionate about and what I feel like I can relate to others. And I wanted to do that. And so I found a program that worked. And
mhm,
that's it's a program that I coach to this day. It's how I have built 90% of my wealth, which is through our metabolic reset company. We have teams of coaches in all 50 states now. And it has allowed us to, it's opened doors because people will talk to you about things that they're struggling with, but it's actually, for me, it's like I know a lot of people's souls hurting,
mm,
but they'll call me or they'll DM me and be like, Doug, what's this program you're coaching? Some of you will probably be DMing me, Doug, what is this metabolic reset thing? I'll tell you about it, and I'd be honored to coach you. But really, It's when someone's 60, 70, 100 pounds overweight. Yeah, you can say, ah, they were just born that way, genetics a little bit. No, there's a lot of things going on if you're carrying that into your 30s and 40s and you're continuing to gain weight.
Right.
There's usually some things, some trauma. There's some things that haven't been dealt with, and I just realized it's allowed me. And now I like to say I'm in the full time ministry because it's allowed me to actually
Mhm.
lead more people to the Lord or pray with people when they came to me to lose weight. But 6, 8 weeks into the journey, we're actually talking about their marriage. We're actually talking about
Mm.
something that took place 15 years ago, a hurt, a season that they turned to alcohol and then they turned to food. And we're actually talking about where it started versus just, oh, I like pizza. No, it's bigger than that.
Mhm.
So I think that's when you say I relate to somebody, it's like, man, I just I love meeting people where they're at and pulling them out of their pit.
Mm.
And I think it's cool to get paid for doing it well too.
Absolutely. I've got a couple questions on that, but I'll start with the first. The first is why entrepreneurship?
Mhm.
Why didn't you just go work for a company, and take a salary? Why
Yeah.
why make that leap and spend what is the last 19 years as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, my father got me into the furniture business, and at first you kind of do what your family tells you to do and suggests you to do. It's just I didn't know anything different, but I was 9 years into the furniture business, broke, busted, disgusted, frustrated, saying like, "Why am I in this business here? Like, what am I
Mhm.
doing?" And but I didn't feel like I was skilled. I wasn't a college graduate. I was just like, man. So I did. I took my place of pain, of health, and made a business out of it. But also, I was told at a younger age, growing up in the religious movement. And again, I'm careful how I say that because I'm not a big fan of religion. I walk closely with the Lord, but organized religion, a lot of times things are put on you. A lot of it is very good, and I'm very grateful for a lot of the traditions and following what the Bible says. But I
Mhm.
realized my grandpa, I'm never forgetting. I love my grandpa. He's no longer with us, but he told me, "Don't chase money, Doug."
Mm.
Um, and he said, Money will change you." And now I had to find out for myself.
Mm.
I'm like, what's so bad with money? I mean, they collect it 40 different ways in church. You can give online, you can tap here, you can leave it at the
Yeah.
back. We pass the plates. I'm like, church, oh no, the money's the root of all evil. But they leave out the love of money is the
Mhm. Yeah.
root of the evil. And so I was on this like, why are people at the time, people telling me that money was bad? But
Mm.
yet the missionaries come, they need money. It seems like they're at the end of the month, there's more month left over than there is money. When parents growing up in business, I'm like, what is so bad? So I just decided that I wanted to make a lot of money and I wanted
Mhm.
to find out if it was so bad. And what I have discovered is that money actually just defines who you are.
Really?
And so I did start chasing money, and money started chasing me when I started being open to it. And it's amazing how you take, I'm honored, and I do, you can look me up online. I mean, I'm very honored and humbled and blessed for the amount of wealth that T and I
Mm.
have created, but it has only come through Christ.
Mm.
And I'm also more proud of the millions, plural, that we've given away. Yes, I've made millions. Yes, I'm worth millions, but I'm more proud of my orphanages in Africa. I'm more proud of the vans and the different ministries and the charities that we donate still to this day.
Mm.
That's what I'm most proud of,
Mm.
and that's why I think that's what makes me strive so hard to work. Because I tell you, there is no bigger gift than giving and blessing somebody else in need.
Mhm. Yeah, well said. Okay, thank you for answering that on entrepreneurship. My next question is about faith.
Mm,
So, obviously, it's so easy to look at the world and see the world how they do business, and it's more money, more success,
mm,
more cars, more houses. I feel great about myself, but we know that that is unfulfilling, and that's not true, um, because only Christ can fulfill you. So, how has your relationship and your faith being so public about your walk with the
mhm.
Lord impacted your business career? I don't know if you've ever been persecuted for your faith,
Yeah,
if it's helped you. I'm just curious because I'm an outspoken follower of Christ and
sure.
definitely feel like I've been persecuted in the past, but you are been doing this for a lot longer, way more publicly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, one piece of advice I'd give everyone on the line is make enough money that you don't have to bow
mm,
to anyone but
dang,
your father. So, meaning your heavenly father.
right.
A lot of times we're in positions when you're only making, 100 grand a year. And again, I say that on a sliding scale. In the Midwest, 100 grand a year, you're balling. Here in Scottsdale,
It's not as much.
you're,
No,
you
but you're
you
speaking
need,
facts.
yeah, you're living in LA, you just need more. So what I'm saying is if you're just barely getting by, you're going to be sensitive to what you can post online and people's opinions or what your boss says. And,
Wow.
just, you're going to like be a little more like that. I just realized I have to make a ton of money to where I don't have to bow to anyone except my Heavenly Father, and I have to answer to Him, and I have to lay my head on my pillow, and I want Him to say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
Mhm.
And I'm making it sound like I'm just this, um, like everything runs through God. No, the reason that my favorite verse, Bill, is Philippians 4:13, is I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And you've been to my club. That scripture is up inside my club over
Yep.
the door. The reason that's a reminder to me, because I have a tendency of doing, I would rather the verse just say, Doug can do all things through his own strength. That's what the verse would probably say. Because my first instinct is to be like, I can do it. I've got this. That's good. You want to be self-made, but I know I'm Jesus made. And that's a reminder to me to say, no, I can do all things through Christ. But there's a lot of victims in the world that are just like waiting for a handout, like, it says I can do all things. No. That means you have to do your part and God will do his part. A lot of
Yes.
people just want God to do his part. A lot of people in the religious movement are just like waiting for God. I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God. No, you got to take action, bro. You got to get in the game. You got to put some content out.
Right.
You got to start a podcast. You have to be on TikTok, which is why we're here today, because you were on TikTok, or you are on TikTok. So, going back to your question
Oh, that's good.
about that, Will, is that we've definitely taken a lot of bullets, but it's nice now that we can open a club. I'll tell you a funny story, because we just realized 10, 12 years ago that we're just going to be us, and we're going to respect the stage that we're given. So I'll go around and speak. I used to speak a lot more before I opened Hive, but this last weekend I was speaking in Dallas in front of 1,000 coaches. Okay, I know that I'm there to talk about our business
Mm.
and how they can move forward as a metabolic reset coach and grow this movement. However, I did talk about Moses, and people thought Moses was a crazy dude. He was crazy, but he also allowed people, as he's sitting there building this ark, to call him crazy. But guess what? The flood came and he ended up being right. You're going to be called crazy. So I used a small parable, but I didn't sit there and turn my 20-minute talk into a preaching lessons. I used about a 1-minute parable of Moses being crazy, and then I talked about how crazy they all need to be and how it applies to their business.
You mean
So
Noah,
I'm not going to
Noah.
Noah. So I'm sorry, I said
You're
Moses.
good.
Thank you. You're like, no, Doug. What do you mean here? No, Noah. So I'm just but also in church. I speak in church sometimes. I'm not going to sit up there and abuse that stage,
Right.
because I'm there to talk about the Bible and to
Sure.
give a biblical teaching. But however, I'm going to talk about how it applies in business, because I'm more of a businessman. So all that to be said, at Hive, we've gotten a lot of hate for us living our faith out loud. A lot of
Really?
people call us, oh gosh, just Google some Jesus Gym, TikToks. I mean, there's a lot of people that think we're a cult. And I'm like, if you've been into Hive, it's not, yeah, there's a scripture or two around the wall, but like we're not blasting.
There's
nothing in
no
anybody's
cult.
face. So on the same day, you check this out. On the same day, we had a TikTok go viral about us being this cult gym, and it's all a Jesus gym, and the owners are Jesus freaks. The same day, so we also own an online Christian school, Valor Global Online.
Oh yeah, I've
so
seen
which is
you
where
post
Phoenix
about
goes.
that.
Okay,
Yes.
so that same day, Tia did a video about something else, and a bunch of parents from our school got mad and said Tia, like, that is not a righteous thing to say. How dare you? And we got some flack from parents in our school saying we're not Jesus enough. On the same day, somebody made a TikTok about us being a cult gym. So we're too much Jesus over here. In our Christian school, we're not enough Jesus.
Yeah.
If you live by trying to please man, you are going to be miserable. And you
Totally.
are going to go hide under a rock, and you're just going to be like, oh, maybe I'm just meant to work at Starbucks my whole life. And then you're going to go deal with Starbucks too. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you're not going to please people. You have to just decide, here are my values. Here's what I'm going to stand for. And we've chosen that. We're just going to live. We're going to make enough money that nobody tells us what we can and can't say. And we're just going to hopefully please God at the end of the day, and not try to please man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Wow. I mean, the hate is kind of expected as a follower of Christ. And
Sure.
Jesus says, if they persecute me, they'll persecute you as
Yeah.
well. And your favorite Bible verse was Philippians 4:13.
Philippians 4:13.
It also means to be content in all situations.
Yeah.
So as you said, right? It's like people complaining, why isn't
Mm,
this? Why isn't that? Well, maybe you're not actually looking at the verse of that, and you're not
mm,
actually asking God to give you strength for where you're currently
yeah.
at and be content. Because
Yeah.
Paul's kind of telling them, like, I've learned to be high, I've learned to be low, I've learned to be content in all situations. And that's something I've had to learn as a follower of Christ as well,
Sure.
is the circumstances may not be in my favor, but no matter the outcome, I have to be content with the Lord and say, okay, God, I trust you either way. And yeah, I think that the way that you go about business and the way that you stand strong in your faith is definitely encouraging to others and inspiring. And I would just say that that's just, to me, it's like, I think that's just the thing about social media.
Mm,
And I want your take on it. How do you use social media
mm.
as a business owner who has a strong faith in Christ?
Mm. Thank you for asking that question, Will. I wanted. I was just still thinking about our last thought, which ties into this. Is I think people need to figure out what their enough is, because people have said like, "Oh, money will change you." Well, I think you need to figure that out for yourself. If Will's working too hard, gosh, you're always working, aren't you? Ever satisfied? Says the guy who works a 9 to 5 and yet writes missionary letters asking you for donations because God feels like God says that they need to go on a missionary trip, but they can't afford it, so they're going to leave. But they're going to tell you stop working so hard, but at the same time write you a missionary letter. See what I'm saying? So I think
Mm,
people don't know if cars are enough or a big house is enough until you own it.
mm,
So don't knock it until I'm not a watch guy. I see you have a beautiful watch on. I don't even know what kind of. I know nothing about watches. I don't own one. However, I have my own collection that
yeah,
I spent too much money on of shoes. So I ain't gonna knock the watch guy because he likes watches,
yeah,
and I don't know if it's an obsession for him or if it's a pride thing. I just know maybe he likes it. At the Hive, you see a lot of beautiful cars.
yes,
I've owned every car I own right now is in cash. I got to a place where I don't like making payments.
that's a flex.
Maybe.
In
It,
my world, that's a flex.
okay, yeah, because most people pay a note. I see a lot of nice cars rolling into the Hive, and I know there's some notes on those.
Yeah,
And every car I've owned for the last 10 years has been in cash, including my wife's G Wagons and Escalades and plurals and Range Rovers that I drive right now. So some might call it a flex, but I just realized I got to a place where I don't like making payments. So I back that up and say, how much is enough? Fancy cars don't impress me anymore. I
right.
mean, my Range Rover right now is paid for, but it's a 2021. My Vet I bought in 2020. I'm one of the very first ones to own it. I don't have any desire to go buy anything right now, either cash or a payment. But I also but I remember when I was 2016, when I first became a millionaire, or actually I first made $1 million
Wow.
in a calendar year. I was like, this is amazing. I wanted to go buy everything. I also gave away a lot of money, but I was just like, it's new, it's fun. It's like it's the hot tub, or you first move into a nice apartment complex and it has that hot tub and the pool and the grill. You use it the most 3 months.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're like, oh yeah, it's cool. We don't use it though. And I think money is the same way. You start realizing what's important. And I am 48 years old and I realize what's most important. It's my family. It's fulfillment.
Mhm.
It's doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Uh, and so I'm great. Money's cool, but a lot of people just they own $1 million a year job that owns them. They're always on their phone and it's this constant grind. So you have to realize, okay, what is
Ooh,
my enough?
that's good.
God, what am I supposed to be doing where I'm totally fulfilled? And yes, maybe I could make more money, but at what cost? And I'm not talking the financial cost, the emotional. What's it gonna play on your marriage? I
That's
got my
good.
son here with me
Yeah.
today doing this podcast. He was just in the room with us.
Yeah.
Dude, my 9-year-old son's hanging out with me in the middle of the day because I've created a life and I created an online school so he can be with me,
Mhm.
seeing me, and I send him off to the system.
Mhm.
So It's different for everybody, but I'm really real big on what is your enough principle, because I can't knock yours and you can't knock mine. We know, but I think you need to know when to be like, you know what, foot doesn't always have to be on the gas.
Right, right. Well, and the most important things you cited are mine as well.
Mm,
It's family, it's my faith.
yeah,
Like, obviously, I don't have children yet. God
yeah,
willing, we will. It's just such a blessing to be able to experience. And my brother and I were talking about that today. He's a business owner, and we were talking about money and materials. And obviously, we're neither of us have had $1 million a year, so we are ways away from that. But we've, done well for ourselves for our age group.
yeah. You have.
And thank you, Doug. And one of the things we were saying though is like it's so needed. Like it's like money is important. Like as you said, you can help your family, you can change so many lives, you can experience new things. But the most joy we get is, for him, it's looking at his daughter. It's or like watching her smile and she's 1 years old crawling around, and then it's looking at how happy his wife is. And for me, it's like looking at my wife and seeing her happy,
Yeah,
and looking at my mom and dad, and like those are the things that really light a fire under
that's
me.
right.
I'm just like, dang. And what's crazy about all those is those are all God's creation. Like the cars and the houses, those are all man's creation.
Mm,
Like we put that together.
right.
And is it amazing?
Oh, that's fun.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
I
it
mean,
is.
there's there you can't tell me you can't have a good time.
Flex up, man.
So,
Have a
so
good time.
someone invites you to a nice house and they got the filet mignon and they got
Uh-huh.
like everything's laid out and you're like, dang, I'm having a
Yeah,
good time right
yeah,
now, and that you will definitely have at least for me, I have immense joy from that. And like that is just so thankful. But it will never match the fulfillment of like my, my wife,
yeah,
or hanging out with my brother or my
yeah.
mom and dad. So like love that you said that. Yeah, it's just so many similarities there. And I like how you kind of laid out like, hey, what is enough for you?
Mm.
And as a business owner, because you've been doing this for a long time, also we're in Scottsdale. Have you seen a lot of that of people who are tied to that $1 million a year job where you see it affecting so many different areas of their
Mhm.
life, but in reality, yes, they are making a lot of money. And I mean, what's that like for you when you see that?
I was at a Grant Cardone conference. I went to the very first 10X
Yeah.
conference. I don't think he does them anymore, but it was in 2017 down in Miami. I had just come into new money. Again, I was making at this time over 100 grand a month, and I was dealing with so much like heartache and depression, and like I had nothing to be depressed about. So I was also like, "What's wrong with me?" But it was like it felt like such a grind. I went down to this conference looking for the tell me how to get through this from other ballers like Grant's, some of the guys he brought in.
Yeah.
And I sat there through that conference, and some of his speakers he brought in talked about, if you ain't making 50 grand a month like me, you need to buy my 1-2 step course to solving all your problems. And that's how I heard it. And I'm like, did he just say he's making 50 grand a month? And I'm thinking I'm making double what he is. And he's telling me that this is what he does. And this is his day-to-day routine, and like how life is like perfect once you make 50 grand a month. And I'm like, I was so disappointed because I heard it from half the speakers, not Grant. Grant's a real dude. Okay. I like that dude. Ed Milet was there. He was a real one. Andy Frisella. But again, this is not Ed and Andy back that we know today. This is before they became Ed and Andy
Right.
that many of us love to this day. But I took away from that conference, I'm like, and I said, if I ever make it, and again, at the time I was feeling like I can't make it, but I know, usually today's frustrations are yesterday's prayers. So I'm like, I'm living in the blessing of everything I ever prayed for. And I feel like I still don't have it figured out. And I'm at a conference, I'm listening to dudes that I think thought had it all figured out because they're on this stage. And I'm thinking I should be on that stage. And then I'm like, if I ever make a stage like this, I'm going to tell people the real thing. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to let them know it's still hard. And I'll tell you this, Will, because if it helps the audience, I do not make this to this day. I still do very, very well. I make a couple $1 million a year, and I'm very proud of the work that we do. But my highest month, I made $666,000 was my highest commission check in April of 22. 666,000. First of all, Tia hated that number. You can imagine why. 666.
I just heard it and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, curse. No, I haven't done that since. And you know what?
That's
We
insane.
still fought that month. Life still happened. We still had family problems. We had a beautiful home. We had beautiful paid for cars. And we're just like, when's it ever going to be enough?
Mm.
And I see a lot of people now, owning a Hive here in Scottsdale has given me different perspective. Because getting back into brick and mortar after years of saying I'd never do it has even made me go, man, what do I really want to be doing? And I see a lot of people at Hive in a year and a half, and a lot of entrepreneurs. I mean, we're in the flex capital of the world in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see so many young men and women, and sometimes older, on this grind for, I'm like, I have had everything that they're like grinding for right now. And I so bad want to reach out and be like, bro. And I do.
Yeah, it's good,
Just
Doug.
pump the brakes, bro. Go love your wife today. Just turn the phone off this weekend. Just go tell her how beautiful she is. Like, you're blessed. Like, it's never, dude, you're never going to scratch this itch. And it's only an itch God can scratch.
Ooh.
And that's fulfillment, brother. And we're asking ourselves the same thing with Hive.
Yeah.
Because it's demanding a lot out of us right now. And we have a really good life with our metabolic reset movement. I don't make any money with Hive. It's still not quite where it needs to be. And we're asking ourselves, like, man, of course we want to see it through, but we're also going like, dude, there's nothing wrong with starting things. And maybe somebody else comes in and takes the vision further than you ever wanted to or could. See, it would be pride to be like, no, that would be failing or quitting. Or what if I brought in another investor or partner? Or what if someday I sold? So
Yeah.
what, because it got hard and you decided between your family and your purpose versus what are people going to think? See, if I cared what people think, I would do things that continue doing things even if it makes me miserable.
Mhm.
Or if God says no, hopefully you learn something here. Hey, this was a great season. And I'm not saying that's what's going on with Hive. I'm just simply saying, like, don't always think like guys like me or you or these people's podcasts that we listen to, that they've got it all figured out. The grind is never going to end, and
No.
you have to figure out what your enough is. So anyway, I've went off long enough on that.
Man. No, that was
Yeah.
needed. That was needed. It's, if your career is destroying your relationship with your wife or
Yeah.
your children, like, you've gone too far. You need to
Absolutely.
recalibrate. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not even from a Christian lens.
No,
I mean,
that's just called, don't be an idiot, dude. Don't ruin your life.
even the world would
Yeah,
agree with that.
that's right.
And so it's common sense, but it happens so fast you don't even wake up. And one thing my pastor would always say is that when you break pattern, the problem is you don't realize the problem until months later.
Mm.
So you could, let's just use reading the Bible, for example. You could not read your Bible for 3-4 months or, disconnect from your prayer life, and things are going fantastic. Like, actually maybe even more successful than prior.
Why not?
But the problem is somewhere along that 3, 4, 5 months, there's going to be a break point, and there's going to be disconnect, whether that's in your career, whether that's in whatever relationships. And you're like, oh no, I got to recalibrate. But now it's almost too late because things have already started to break. So that's why my pastor always encourages us, just hold pattern. If you do the daily things like Bible reading, prayer, you go to church, and obviously Bible reading and prayer and church all kind of coincide. But it was a really interesting thought because I've seen it, weight loss is no different, right? If you skip the gym for 4 months or 3 months and you think you could just do it and you're like, I'm still like relatively in shape. Well, muscle mass starts to deteriorate. Your strength is gone. You're not as healthy. You're not as vibrant. And by the time you want to get back, it might even take you double of what you took off to get back to where you were. So it's just like hold pattern.
I like your pastor.
He's good.
He was
man.
a good dude. I met him at your wedding.
Yeah, I saw you guys talking.
He's got a lot of passion and fire in him.
He does.
Dude's wild, man.
He's
I'm like, bro, I like you.
Yeah. He's from Missouri. I lived in Missouri for 5 years.
Yeah.
And, it's definitely kind of a old school mentality.
Yeah.
But I like it.
It's good, man. We need some old school mentality. The world's getting a little soft.
It is. Yeah. It is, man. So, okay. I mean, I really just had 2 questions for you, two more questions, because I've really enjoyed my chat with you and love the passion and fire you're giving about your faith. But I am still curious about social media because I know as a Christian, I always like figure out, okay, which line am I going on,
Yeah.
and how do I use social media properly? And
Hmm.
at what point is it, I have to be careful. Okay, am I doing this for vanity? I don't,
Hmm.
so how do you use social media, and what's your view on it?
Yeah, I am who I am today because of two things: Jesus and social media.
Wow.
So if you're selling something that changes people's lives, you have a obligation and a duty to be bold and be passionate about it. Um, Hank Norman wasn't he was one of the very first coaches to Mel Robbins on the 5-4-3-2. Is that her thing? 1 through 5 or something? Mel Robbins. Anyway, Hank Norman is a wild dude. He's kind of quiet right now. I haven't seen him in a few years, but he says, "Open this phone and press record." He goes, "Look at that green dot. Do not look at the screen. Stop making it about you and speak to the one. You speak to the one, you will reach everyone. You try to reach everyone, you will reach no one."
Mm.
I'll never forget it. So, Will, I put this phone in front of my face, and this is before like CapCut editing and
Yeah.
like all these fancy filters you can do now. I think people are way too edited now. Even the Hive stuff, half the time I'm like, guys, calm that crap down. We got to relate to the everyday person. I said, I'm a real dude. In fact, I remember the Nate, who you referred to me. He was with me the last 6-8 months. Incredible, incredible young man. The reason that he found me was because I put the phone in front of my face.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't edit it. I'm like, hey, anyone in Scottsdale? I need some help with I need some help. Where are you?
Yeah.
I was a regular dude driving in my Corvette, running behind, needing help in my social media. I put it up, and the thing kind of went mini viral for me.
It did.
And had a lot of comments on it because it was why? I don't know. TikTok loved it. Instagram loved it. It was me saying, I need help. Who's hungry to grow? I'm hiring.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just straight to the point. And the world is craving for you to just tell your audience that you are not as smiley as you are on TikTok all the time, that it can sometimes be hard.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you that the last 2 to 3 months has been really hard for me and my family. Very hard. And when I say hard, like I've taken my daughter, which is my niece, but she's my daughter. I've taken her, had to put her in a girls' boarding school. Did I talk about it the week that it was all going on? No. But did I talk about it after? Yeah. Because people need to know that, you know what? No matter what you're going through, life is still going to happen and you got to keep showing up. But you can't wait till you're going to feel like it because you ain't necessarily going to feel like it. You got to keep doing it. And so when I started telling my story of one of my most viral, this got me the most clients ever for my metabolic reset movement. Was this like 12 years ago? I had a bad night. I was driving from LA back here to Scottsdale, and dude, I hit up every gas station every 150 miles, and I bought Reese's peanut butter cups. I just like a fat kid loves cake, dude. It was all night. It was like 5-6 hours back to Scottsdale. Dude, I felt like a pig. I ate Taco Bell. I got up the next morning just guilty. I'm a coach. Who am I? And I wanted to hide it. And I went out to my car the next morning and cleaned out all the wrappers. And I tried to hide them because I didn't even want my wife to see them. I'm like, I'm so disgusted. I ended up taking a Facebook Live and I filmed my car. And I told my whole Facebook audience, as a coach, basically, I have sinned.
Yeah.
And I've fallen short. Dude, I had more DMs saying, will you coach me? Because I feel like you actually get it.
Wow.
You're like human. Everyone else online seems perfect. I don't relate to Mr. Abercrombie and Fitch, chiseled ab guy that tells me, here's my workout and my nutrition program. He's like, dude, Doug, I relate to you, bro.
Yeah.
And because you want to be relatable. So if you have a product, if you have a service, if you have a solution to the world's problems, stop having AI create all your stuff.
It's so dumb.
Like, be you. People want the real you. They want the story. They want the behind the scenes. They want to know what you're questioning, where you're doubting. When I was questioning my faith 7 years ago, which is why I wrote Church Boy to Millionaire, I was questioning my faith. I was questioning everything, and I worked it out online. And trust me, I had a lot of opinions coming in. But I worked it out. People were like, I see, there's something I see in you. Thank you for going through that publicly. That builds trust as well.
Dang.
So, so whether it be your faith, whether your beliefs, and I've hit some foul balls too. I've had some things online that I still won't delete that I'm not proud of. I also am very big on I don't delete stuff. If I put it out there, there's some embarrassing things about me on the internet. You can Google them. You can read them if you want. Oh, there's not too much you can Google. I'm just saying, if you go search my Instagram or search my Facebook, it is there because Doug won't delete it. It's a part of my story. I have scars across my chest because I used to have big man boobs, and they, even after losing 70 pounds, the skin was still there. So I had the skin removed. Why? Why are those scars there? Is because I remember the pain of growing up and somebody putting a bra in my locker in the 7th grade, and it was embarrassing. But those are my scars. That's my story.
Right.
It's relatable. So don't delete stuff. Just be you. Keep trying, putting more content up. If you're wanting to start a podcast, oh gosh, you're watching Will's podcast. You're watching these clips right now. Why aren't we watching your clips? We need to be watching your clips. Oh, because you don't think you have an editing team. You're not perfect. Well, guess what? You figure it out. You do it yourself until you can hire an editing team. And besides that, they ain't that expensive anyway. So everyone's made it up in their head like, oh gosh, I gotta have it all figured out. No, you have to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Social media, man. That's it's the only reason that I've really, I think social media was a big reason why we connected.
This is how we're here.
I mean,
because you put the phone in front of your face, Will, from your car.
I believe
or you were walking.
I just do random.
You just do it.
I just do random stuff, and I get a lot of flack. I get a lot of hate.
Do you?
Oh yeah, a ton.
Really?
Ridiculous stuff. I can tell you crazy stories.
Man, we gotta have a
it's
swap stories on those.
Yeah,
those are fun to talk about.
It's definitely the faith has been the most polarizing.
Has it really?
Yeah, that I don't really say anything political at all. It's the faith that is the most polarizing I found. And I just am like, okay, Lord, like I'm just gonna trust you, and the Lord has always worked things out. So it's been great. But yeah, I love that perspective on social media. It is enough with the AI stuff. We need more real stuff. We need more just whip the phone out. I love your driving videos where you're talking and you have it kind of down low.
Yeah.
And you're just giving real advice
I need
about
to do more of that.
That stuff is like
Thank you. I need to hear that.
That's like I listened to the whole video. So from start to finish, which if you can, that's again, like I know you, but for people online who've never met you and they can watch a whole video, they actually feel like they really know you. They're like, dang, like I really feel like I know Doug. Like that video was awesome. And then they'll take that in their day and then they could change the course of what they're doing because of that video. So I like those a lot. The low edited, just here, this is what's up.
Now, I have a question for you though. So when people are giving you flack about your faith, is it that you shouldn't be talking about business and God?
Yeah.
Is that what they don't like you mixing it?
Yeah.
So they just tell you that?
Yeah. Also, I work for a corporate corporation. So I still have my W-2 software sales job, which I'm very grateful for. I'm able to do well. I can sell very well. But yeah, I definitely have had a lot of stuff about that. Whether it's from followers or just, old coworkers or whatever. Yeah, definitely many people have said things. Kind of like Jesus freak.
Yeah. Well, double down because your wedding, watching you at your wedding was my favorite part, Will.
Thank you.
Because I saw a man that has a tender heart.
Thank you.
You have a strong moral compass, but you have a tender heart to your wife. And like you and Mary are like the way God saw marriage and us like saw his bride coming together. And I tell you what, it was the most beautiful ceremony I've ever been to. And I mean that. And you watching Mary come down the aisle was just my absolute favorite. I mean, you were in tears.
It was broken.
Just authentic. And if more men would, if they'd quit looking for their future wife on porn.
Oh my gosh.
And they would actually fix their eyes on Jesus or the way that you and Mary have done it. I tell you what, they'd have a beautiful life. I get flack from Christians because I've came through a lot, man. T and I, we have nothing against alcohol. We stopped drinking about 3 years ago.
Amazing.
Just because we chose to, But I was one of the early Christians years ago thinking like, it's okay because my church was raised like, you don't drink and whatever. Everyone has their own opinion. But now we've shifted now to where we don't. But I've replaced alcohol with cigars.
I love cigars.
I love a good cigar. And I do it publicly. I'll be on my phone. I have videos me posting a cigar, and I've had different dudes be like, Christians shouldn't be smoking cigars. I said, Christians shouldn't be looking at porn either. So what you do in secret, I'm doing my sin, I guess. If we're both sinning, you're doing yours in secret. I'm just sinning in public, online in front of you. So you know what? Just be you.
Yeah,
People got to do your thing.
that's right.
And there's an authenticity that people have appreciated about me because I am a little raw. I am a little unfiltered. I'm very kind, but do not mistake my kindness for weakness. And you're the same way, Will. I know you're a very kind man, but I also know that, you know what? There's a couple things I'm not going to compromise in. And
My pastor said the same thing when he met me.
yeah, you want to see Will go to blows? There's a couple things he will go to blows for, and I know his wife is one of them. So you want to see a side of Will that you've never seen before? Just try.
That's right.
But you got to keep doubling down because the young men today need to see someone to follow and a path to follow. And I think you and Mary are rewriting the story, especially for couples here in Scottsdale. I know that for a fact.
Wow, that means a lot, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Man, you almost got me emotional thinking about how you said that was such a beautiful ceremony. Yeah, I prayed for Mary for 4 years. I came to Scottsdale, was in the party scene, came from Chicago, and got down on my knees and said, Lord, there has to be a better way.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever publicly cried out to Jesus. And since then, my life has been completely changed. But it took a long time to get to Mary. A long time, a lot of trials, a lot of trials, and a lot of time being alone. And I knew, I was like, okay, like God, like placed it on my heart to be a husband and to find a godly wife. And a lot of men, if you're listening and you know this, it's in the Bible. It says a prudent wife, is from the Lord.
Yeah.
You cannot buy a godly wife. You can't. No amount of money in the world can get you a godly wife. Only that can come from the Lord, and that's why it's the hardest.
Yeah.
Is because you can. As men, we're so good at performance and like get more, drive more. Like we can do that, but when it comes to full submission to the Lord, and you and Tia have an amazing Christ-centered marriage that is very inspiring as well. And you've been doing it for a lot longer.
We're at 26 years this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
That is
proud of that, man.
That is amazing. And to, Mary and I, it was something, we have very similar stories. Did not grow up in the church, did not grow up, the good old Christian boy or Christian girl. We got into a lot of things we should not have been into. And even though I seem very like innocent and things like that, it's through a renewing that Christ did in me. Because innocence, I think you'd agree with this, is a lost. Innocence is not found much in this world. And this is not to glorify myself, but it's just to say, hey, the Lord has changed me and changed my heart and changed Mary and changed her heart. And marriage is so important to us. It was like the biggest gift I could have ever received outside of my salvation.
Yeah.
And man, it's just amazing. The gratitude is just crazy. In 26 years, this is for me personally, not the podcast. Man, how important has Jesus been in your 26 years of marriage?
There would have been no 26 if I would have bailed at year 3, year 7, and year 11. Those were our hard years. 15, 16 a little bit, but year 7 and 11 was all pride in me of just, do I want to commit to this? That's why I think kids are important. If it wouldn't be for Amaya and Caitlin, I probably would have left Tia in our 7th year because I was that far away from the Lord. I don't, there's a difference between showing up to church and walking with Jesus.
Amen.
I was showing up to church, but I was going through the motions. I was so emotionally checked out. And the only thing that kept me from leaving Tia was pride of what my parents, and I knew everyone would be like, dude, you're a freaking idiot, Doug. And that's when I'm like, dude, I am an idiot. What am I thinking? And And that's also why I'm so outspoken about. I just see what pornography is doing because it makes you think the grass is greener on the other side, or you just can get a quick fix, and it makes you think like, well, maybe I married the wrong person, and you start questioning everything that God gave you and that He already confirmed in you because you started searching for things in the wrong place. It might not be pornography; it could just be letting your eyes wander, distractions, or starting with dance clubs or strip clubs, or going out with the boys too much, and maybe the boys that you're hanging out with too much golfing are talking and doing the wrong things. And so next thing you know, you start letting your morals and your values drop, and you start questioning. And that's kind of what it was for me. And so, man, without God, without Tia, also, I'll never forget. It was about the time I started getting healthy. It was about year 11. She was like, "Doug, I'm not living this life." Me and the girls, she didn't know if she was out of here. I didn't know if she meant she's leaving, but she's like, me and the girls will not live like this.
Mm.
I said, I'll take the girls. I'm going home to Iowa for a while. And I knew she was probably serious too. And I had to stay home, and I was going to run the company and stuff. And it was just like, she was basically like, get in the game. Are you going to be in this with me? Or are we going to do like this roommate thing? And it was just like, she called me higher too. That's why you need a good woman, that when it gets hard, that you guys are in covenant together, that I love in sickness and in health. And so bad, people like sickness. Yeah, when I'm on my deathbed. No, sickness is called when you're freaking mentally sick
Mhm.
and you're thinking about quitting. And the other person is like, no, you're not quitting on me.
Mhm.
You're not quitting on us.
Mm-mm.
Quitting is off the table. Divorce is not on the table here. Sorry.
Never.
You're sick right now in the head. And I
Mhm.
love you enough to tell you that.
Yeah.
Just like she can look at me and say, I'm sick.
Mhm.
Like, you're mentally sick right now. And that's not a thought from God.
Mm.
So that's why you need strong people in your life. That's why men listen to this podcast or watching this. Gosh, you need strong men around you, not just business brains, and not just AI brains, and not just hustle brains and workout bros. Dude, you need men that are going to call you higher,
Yeah.
that are going to be like, no, what's going on? Knock it off. Let's go. Get back in the game. If they're going to call you to a workout, they need to call you higher in your marriage. If they won't, if they're going to, same thing with the women. Let's get together and have wine and chocolate and talk bad about our husbands. No. Tia had to leave some of those groups. I will not sit in a group and talk bad about where our husbands suck.
Nope.
She won't be part of that. Just like I won't be a part of a golfing group where they're sitting around talking disrespectful about their wives. So
So
you
wrong.
just start putting your because it will eventually, like you were saying and your pastor said, eventually it will wear on you to where you will start questioning things. And so I'm married 26 years because we removed ourselves from friends. We removed ourselves from church friends even
Mm-hmm.
that were toxic thinkers. They were overweight. They were broke. And they were telling us, why are you guys working so hard? Why are you guys on this diet thing? Because we want to get healthy is why, but they couldn't see it. So we had to just remove ourselves because we were not strong enough. And men and women, you won't be strong enough either.
Yeah.
If you think like, oh no, they're my long-term friends though. They're my family though. Yeah, and they're killing you. They're literally gonna ruin your life if you keep spending this much time with them, which is why you got to get away from them, get strong for a season. If you want to go back after you're stronger because you love them so much, great. But most likely you'll feel way different.
Wow. Dang, Doug. I know we're about at time, and I want to be respectful. I know your Phoenix is down there. So yeah, I want to get you back to the rest of your day. But man, this has been electric. The passion. I've learned so much. I know the audience will love. For me, that is definitely something Mary has noticed in me is my affinity towards young Christian men
Mm.
who remind me of myself, who maybe are thinking about going the wrong way,
Yeah.
and me being like, hold on,
Yeah.
stop that. Like,
Yeah.
you need to, because the world is so bright when you follow Jesus and you don't make a lot of those mistakes that I did and
Right.
that many of us did. But I guess just to leave the podcast and to kind of give some closing thoughts. Number one, where can people find you, and what do you want to leave the audience with?
Well, you can find me on the Real Doug Wood at Instagram. But I'd ask you where you want to find yourself in 30, 60, 90 days or a year. Because no matter what you're going through, it just comes down to taking radical responsibility. And I think something on this podcast probably spoke to you that it's like, dude, I need to step it up here. So step it up. Step it up. Some of you right now need to delete some apps on your phone that have no business being on your phone because it's a distraction to what you're trying to accomplish. Some of you need to get clear on what you're actually trying to accomplish. You need to eliminate things from your life and get locked in and get focused this next season. Be very careful who you're allowing speaking into your life right now. Be very careful. The next 60 to 90 days, I feel, Will, I've been seeing this all over and I've been feeling it too. The next 60 to 90 days, I feel like our world is like, there's a spiritual tug of war going on, but I feel like the world is that tug of war in business and things are about ready to bust wide open for a lot of people.
Mm,
And in others, I think people are about ready to find themselves this summer and heading back to next fall saying, what in the heck happened to 2026? I feel like I'm just losing everything around me. Get locked in, get focused. It's going to take a season of getting freaking laser focused. But commit to one or two things
right.
and do it. Stop talking about it and just do it.
Mm-hmm. Stop talking about it. Man, this is awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the time. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for being real. We talked about this before. So I feel like we could maybe do another one in a couple months.
Come on, baby.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
go.
let's do another one, man. I've really enjoyed it. Guys, you want to hear more about stuff like this, leave a comment, tag Doug, DM him, let him know you appreciated this podcast, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, you name it. Message him. And if you're ever in Scottsdale, check out the Hive Fit Club. Mary and I, my wife, we love it. We love working out there. Best equipment I've ever worked out in the Scottsdale area. Always enough room to do your own thing. If you like to do supersets, there's plenty of space. And again, the equipment's incredible and the staff's even better. So, all right, guys, episode 36, Doug Wood. Thank you.